disabled people have so much of grit and tenacity and determination, and what they go through and what they overcome on a daily basis, we couldn't imagine doing in a year or 10 years. The hurdles that are in their way and that we put in their way very deliberately by creating the world the way we created it.
So my first question is, what does the Latika Roy Foundation do?
So what the Latika Roy Foundation does is provide a range of services for children with disabilities and for adults. We're working with babies at the time of birth, actually, right up into late adulthood. We provide assessment, early identification, early intervention, education, vocational training. All of this is for children and young adults who are disabled. And then a lot of work is done with their families because kids live with their parents. And we have yet to have a child come to us on their own and say, I'm having some trouble walking, or I'm having some trouble talking, can you help me out? They always come with a family.
A lot of people talk about, at least in cities, disabilities are easier to deal with. What has that experience been like for you in the field?
It goes two ways, actually. I think that there are better services available in cities. So if you have a kid and you are trying to find a school, you're more likely to be able to find one in a city, and the bigger the city, the better. But in the rural areas where it's very difficult in terms of terrain and services, there is, I think, in many places, more of an acceptance because of the slower pace of life, because of the range of skills that are required. You often find rural families that are happily living with a disabled adult member who helps in the farm, who works in the fields, who tends animals, who helps in the kitchen. And the disability is not such an impediment. Whereas in the city, where we really value cerebral skills and fine motor skills and things that are much more demanding in terms of your abilities, it's harder for disabled people to fit in. So it really depends a lot on attitude, I think.
Where do you see the sort of impetus? Of course, it's on every stakeholder in the system, but where can we see the most change and the most impact?
I think there are some key professions with disability. Probably the first that comes to mind is the medical profession. The way that you learn about a child's disability is something that no parent ever forgets. It colors the rest of your life. And how the doctor or the nurse or whoever it is who informs you, gives you that news, can really set the tone for your journey. I have heard parents tell me things like, the doctor said, there's no hope, put this child in an institution, forget you had her, and try again. That kind of message is exactly the wrong one. You give up on your kid. You just stop thinking there's any potential here. And the doctor in India is so important. And if the doctor has the right attitude and can give you a sense of hope, no matter how severe the disability, there is hope, there is potential, the kid can learn, that can really change the tone and set you on a different journey. And I think the next group is teachers. Kids go to school so young here. And if you have a play school where everybody looks like, oh my God, what is wrong with this kid? I've never seen anything like this before. that's going to obviously very quickly get communicated to the parents. So teachers and doctors have to model this acceptance and inclusion in everything that they do. And I know it's difficult because they're just regular people like everybody else, but if they can see that, that special role that they have, I think they can make the effort that it takes to learn more, understand what's going on here and how important it is to encourage families.
What are some of the things that you do at the foundation when with your teachers, with your staff? Is there a rule book or a guidebook, so to speak, when we talk about sensitization?
So the thing that we always stress is the child's strengths. What is the kid doing well? And when we work with a new staff member, we bring them into a classroom, say, where there's an experienced teacher, and let them see things through that teacher's eyes. Because, I mean, there's no two ways about it. When you go into a classroom with, say, 10 kids, all of whom have different kinds of disabilities, they may look very odd, they may have strange mannerisms that you're not used to. You really are kind of jolted by it. So we prepare people before they go into the room that this is what you're going to see. And you have to be very careful of your face. You have to smile. You have to, just accept that there are different kinds of people in the world. And what we're trying to do is to alert people before they get jolted, and then gradually train them to look beyond that obvious disability and see something more than that. And it's amazing once you've framed your mind that way, what you're capable of seeing. It's an attitude that has to grow and develop through constant practice and seeing the strengths rather than the weaknesses. We have to actually train ourselves for that because we're actually set up to find the faults. That's what we do. We look at what's wrong, what's not working, rather than what is working well. That disabled people have so much of grit and tenacity and determination, and what they go through and what they overcome on a daily basis, we couldn't imagine doing in a year or 10 years. The hurdles that are in their way and that we put in their way very deliberately by creating the world the way we've created it. If we could just think about the disabled person that we look at and feel sorry for, and instead look at what they're doing, see how they are prevailing. That person who comes up to your car when you're stopped at a red light and begs for something, how did they get there? They're on some little platform that they've made and they've wheeled it across through this crazy traffic that freaks us out, and they still have the tenacity to ask you to help them. I mean, I just find there's so much to admire rather than pity. And if that be our attitude, we will be able to really make this inclusive world that we're talking about.